Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of the e-commerce lab by Ecomcy, the place of everything related to Amazon, FBA, private label, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, your host, founder, and CEO of Ecomcy. And today we bring you two special guests. Their name is Matt and Andre, both co-founders of ProductPinion, an amazing tool when it comes to finding the best, converting creatives, many things more when it comes to, optimizing your listings on Amazon. We know that when it comes to selling on Amazon, it's all about conversions nowadays. You could have the best product, you could have the best pricing, but if you don't have the way that actually people visualize the product or interact in terms of the listing, you're gonna fail because when it comes to conversions, and that's something that I'm pretty sure you guys have heard on past episodes, conversion is king to make sure you dominate those organic rankings long term. So that's why I wanted to bring on board Andre and Matt. I think with their solution you're gonna have a much easier time to actually understand how you can improve those conversions, and that's gonna be all about this episode. So, Matt, Andre, welcome to the episode.
Thank you so much for having us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for being here, and for me, it's definitely a pleasure to have both of you here. Myself personally, I've been interacting with the tool for a while now, and I think it's awesome what you guys are bringing to the space, especially because some of the features which I'm sure you're gonna mention throughout the episode, like that allow you to, replicate the journey of a customer on Amazon, I think is game changer because I think that at the end of the day, so I really is gonna have you and give you clean data to make a decision. And I'm sure on today's episode we're gonna mention how all these things combined with the right strategy on Amazon is gonna allow you to succeed. So to start the episode, I think I want to first give you the ground so both of you can tell me more about how this idea even came to your mind, both of you, because it's something very niche and very specific. And I just want to understand what made you, bring this amazing solution to the space. Yeah. If you can tell me a little bit about that. Yeah.
To-
Absolutely.
totally, yeah. So I think one of the main things that also sets us apart as well is that we're both Amazon sellers. So in my case, I'm still selling on Amazon
Good.
for over 10 years now, and I was always doing the user testing and research on trying to figure out like what makes shoppers click, so to speak. And I was using a software called usertesting.com, which basically gives you that context. And it was great, but it wasn't really geared towards Amazon sellers specifically. So that's where the idea kind of came to be where, hey, I basically wanted to have something that, I was using other software and trying to piece things together. I wanted something kind of all in one that would give me basically the consumer insights that I wanted so that I could sell more.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
And for me, I built my first brand that I exited a couple of years ago using Facebook groups, where I was able to actually get that constant feedback from my target audience. So they would shape the design of my products, what I say on the listing, and stuff like that. And I don't think anyone was doing that. And that was my competitive advantage. I was able to sell my product for the highest price point in the niche. And then I realized that it's pretty unique to take that approach. And at some point we connected with Matt, and I was like, this software has to happen because others don't do this right. And we need to bring this to the table and connect the Amazon customer and the Amazon seller.
Yeah.
And I also should mention, I was also going to mention too, similar like Andre, like I was also using Kickstarter as a platform to funnel my sales into Amazon. And Kickstarter is literally just that, all the feedback as you're building the product with the audience.
Yeah. That's actually super interesting because I totally agree. Like even for myself, because I'm also an Amazon seller, especially in the past, you didn't really have the option to really do a lot of split testing, understand what was actually driving your conversion. You basically were just doing educated guess. You didn't have enough data, and the solutions out there, which that's why you guys stand from the crowd, is that don't really allow you to replicate the journey of a customer, specifically on Amazon, because most of them just focus on a specific set of demographics, and that's it. But let's be honest, on Amazon is much more than that. We're talking the reviews people see, the title that you use, how it shows on the page, how people actually interact with the Amazon interface that we know every single week it seems to be changing now. And it's like if you don't adapt to these things, you might be doing decisions that are skewed, and then you end up not having the right elements to actually be able to scale the product further, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Yep.
Now, I want to bring to the conversation, why you guys do a pro opinion, because I mean, one of the things I love, and maybe you guys can give me a little bit more insights about that, is the way how one of your main features is that you actually can see how people are shopping, right? And this is something that I find super interesting because even myself, when I'm close to my girlfriend or friends or mom and they're shopping on Amazon, I try to always sneak peek and see how they get the platform and
How they
everything
shop.
because that's what I do 24/7. And sometimes you fall into this trap of thinking maybe because I'm inside the Amazon bubble, I don't see things that a normal consumer would do, and that's where the curiosity usually arises. And you will be surprised. Sometimes I see my mom using filters I will never use. Like sometimes has to do with the material, sometimes has to do with the stars, sometimes has to do with X amount of things. And I'm sure that's some of the things you guys allow to test on your platform. So tell me a little bit more about the pin on videos as you call it. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that too. Basically, it's a way to watch people shop without being
Yeah.
creepy, watching
Yeah, I
over their
know.
shoulder, right? So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, in essence, I mean that's it exactly. I think like, and you hit the nail on the head there when you mentioned like being inside your own bubble. You don't
Hmm.
realize that, yeah, it's people out there, and people
Yeah.
are weird, unique, and they do different things. And what Pinion videos basically allow you to do is get a screencast recording of somebody looking at whatever URL you ask them to look at. So that
Yeah.
could be your own listing to
Yeah.
figure out objections, optimizations, that sort of thing. It might be a competitor's listing, which is
Mm,
interesting because then you can figure out why they're selling as much as they're
yeah.
selling,
Yeah.
or a search result. So you get people to look, do a keyword search. Which products are you into? Click on the ones that you like, tell me why, that sort of thing. And what you get from that is context, and you get qualitative feedback, which then helps feed your other tests and basically iterations of either your listing, your product, and that
Mm,
sort of thing. So not only are they looking at a URL, they're also answering up to 3 specific questions that you can ask them out loud. So you're basically reading their
yeah.
mind and
Yeah.
seeing what they're doing and getting context all in the same test.
Yeah,
Super
just
interesting.
like Matt said, very often we find ideas on what to split test moving forward from
Yeah.
this
Mm,
video, like watching
yeah.
people comment and seeing like commonalities between their responses. We're like, okay, this matters. Let me split test this
Mm,
idea. I'll give you a quick example. One of our customers used to sell eye drops,
okay.
and we started testing with this test where we send people to Amazon search results and we ask them which ones would you click on, tell us why, which ones would you buy, stuff like that. And we quickly figured that the best seller in the space, who was outselling our customer, had vegan and cruelty free in the title. Makes no
Okay.
sense to have it in terms of PPC
Yeah.
or SEO at
Just
all.
had
It's
it.
eye
Yeah.
drops,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we ran some tests and we realized that a lot of people clicked on that product because of that specific thing in the title. And then next stage, we go to opinion polls. So we poll people and split test our title with those keywords in there. Conversion goes up. So very easy
Wow.
thing that there's no other way you would find it out, right? Unless
Yeah.
you actually watch people shop.
Yeah. What an amazing example. And I think that's where most people struggle nowadays when it comes to improving conversions, because I guess most people always assume it's the main image because it's what they hear in every single podcast or blogs or events. But let's be honest, sometimes small things like that is like, yeah,
It
it's
adds
very
up.
easy to really not see it, because especially when you're on tracking tens of competitors, like a few keywords can really pass under the radar. And I think, yes, having the option of sneaking on how people actually shop, I think is super useful, because I think the most important thing is that, for everybody listening and watching this, like now you're able to know where you should start in the first place. Because if you don't know where to start, most of the time you're gonna end up wasting a ton of money on doing split testing that sometimes is not even required. Maybe you have the best image already, and you're just wasting money doing more split testing. And the second thing is also the time it takes, because I know it's not only about doing the split testing, but then going to the design or the copywriting and doing the changes,
Yes.
and that definitely can become very costly for some Amazon sellers. Now, tell me a little bit about what is usually the process for doing this, right? Because I bet doing these opinion videos, of course, also require some amount of data for us to make a a validate decision. So, how many of these usually would you recommend for an Amazon setup once they start using Product Opinion to have enough data to then make an action about this is what we need to start split testing, for example? Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we make it super flexible in Product Pinion.
Okay.
So you can ask like 20 people if you
Yeah.
want. But in general, if it's a newer category, or you
Mhm.
just kind of you're doing some product research, you want to see how people are kind of like shopping in that category. If you
Yeah.
ask like 10 people to look at a set of Amazon search results and basically, ask the questions such as which ones would you click into and why, what
Mhm.
attracted you, that sort of stuff, you would probably know that category better than the
Mhm.
majority of sellers that are in it, right?
Yeah.
So usually getting started, I'd ask at least 10 people in the category,
Okay.
for whatever your top, like if you could rank for that top keyword, get them to perform a search with that top keyword. And then, we have templates as well too, so we can guide you through like what questions to ask. But obviously, you can
Mm.
ask whatever it is that you would like. And
Yeah.
getting 10 people going through those search results gives you that foundational knowledge that almost no other sellers will have. And then you can do the same thing if if you're an established seller and you want another pair of eyes on your listing, because again, our listings are our babies, right? And you develop those blinders. It's hard to see what you're missing. So you actually need another pair of eyes. And it's not usually just family and friends, because they'll always tell you what you want to hear because they love you too much. But
Yeah.
asking, say, 5 strangers, 10 strangers, like, hey, do you trust this brand? And they
Mhm.
go through your Amazon listing and they tell you reasons why they don't trust your brand. Because let's face it, as
Mhm.
private label sellers, most people won't see our brand before. And we
Yeah.
need to like up the trust factor in order to get that conversion. And getting 5 to 10 people tell you why your baby's ugly makes all the difference when you're trying to get those impulse buys, trying to get those conversions. So yeah, I'd say like start with 10 people for the category and then start with
Yeah.
about 5 people for your own listing, just to get things
Mm.
rolling.
Very interesting. Yeah, and I totally agree. I think the branding side of things is true. Usually, when you are sometimes buying what we call a commodity, you don't look at the brand too much. But it's definitely a factor that I feel myself when I'm shopping on Amazon. Sometimes there are brands that just because of the way the logo looks like or the name, it just doesn't give me trust. It looks cheap or because something in the image or something on the text. And sometimes if you're just on the bubble of being the founder that you love your brand and product, you're not gonna see this unless you bring a new set of eyes as you bring it. So
True.
very
You just
good.
don't know what you don't know.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
exactly what Andre said. You don't know what you don't know. And what's interesting is, and Andre mentioned this as well too, is doing so this is qualitative, right? So you're just hearing people speak. And what we do different at Product. So when I was using user testing, for example, you could interview
Hmm.
people, but it would be like 20-minute, 30-minute recordings,
Yeah,
which was just too much.
yeah,
Nobody has time to
yeah,
go through all that. So
no.
with Product Pinion, typically the videos are 3 minutes. They can be up to 7 minutes, but by then we give shoppers a warning and we cut them off. We're like, hey,
Yeah, you need to buy. You need to buy now.
yeah, exactly. So, and when you get this qualitative data, you start seeing some themes, you start seeing some things that are reoccurring, and then those are the things that you then want to take into Pinion polls that are worth
Mhm.
testing to get some more quantitative data to be able to make decisions on and move forward with what would work best for your particular brand.
Nice. Now let me ask you something. Based on the amount of data that you guys already, manage in the backend with all your clients, is there some insights you can share with us in terms of what is usually one of the top factors that really drives performance based on the trends? Like, is you keep seeing that is the image, or sometimes you're seeing nowadays shifting more towards the copy or pricing? What is your take on this so people can have some insights as well? Yeah.
Totally, yeah. So there's a few common things that work in like every single category.
Yeah.
One of the ones that comes out all the time with Pinion videos is like if you're wherever you're based, most of us are small businesses by definition, right? So if you can call out in your listing images that you are a small, you're a small business. If you're based in the US, putting that US flag so you can say that you're a USA-based small business is huge, right? So even if you're a commodity kind of product, and even if the product's made in China or wherever, that's okay. But but by saying like, hey, you're a small business based in the US, that can get you the that edge over the fence to get that conversion.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I actually because I heard this in the past, like people is actually, especially in the US, very proud of supporting small business. But I thought over time that was becoming more diluted, like something that everybody was doing. But it's interesting that you tell me that the data is still showing that is driving, conversions.
Yeah. People call that out all the time. They're like, wow, okay. Another one I can give you as well too that works really well. And this one's kind of I wouldn't say it's common sense, because common sense is never common, but so everyone knows Amazon has an awesome return policy for their shoppers, right? Like 30 days. I mean, technically it's 30 days. You can return anything.
But you can return after 2 years sometimes.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I would actually use that as a seller to our advantage. And basically don't just mention on the listing, money back guarantee. It's too generic. That goes in someone's ear and like out the other very quickly. So instead, come up with a guarantee. I like to call it a golden guarantee that is very specific to the product, and also it's named something. So if you're selling some sort of supplement, it's like the bottom of the bottle guarantee, and you can actually test the names, obviously, in ProductPinion as well too, like which ones sound the best. But the reason why that works is when you name something, it just becomes a bigger feature. It becomes a bigger thing, something more memorable to a shopper, and that works exceptionally well too when you're putting that in your listing.
Interesting. Okay. And this software, I guess it could be something that you would recommend for all the listeners and the one watching, to also make it part of your branding, maybe on your insert and your packaging, like making it part of your brand, like a guarantee, right? Something like that.
Yeah, totally. And you can also, and another thing that you could be testing as well is that the insert. So you can actually show shoppers like, hey, here are 2 offers that I have on my product insert. Which one are you most likely to take me up on, and why? And that's been instrumental in getting, customer data, email addresses, that sort of thing that you can later remarket to. So at the end of the day, I mean, everything, things that will move the needle. So like getting customers' details are worth testing, because long term, everything kind of compounds, and the more data you have and the faster you can make the right decisions, the bigger your business will grow.
Yeah. And just the insert, actually, I think never heard of people really testing inserts. Like people just do the typical templates they find online and that's it. But you actually say something super important, which is you want to make sure that when people open the box, they don't throw the insert away, right? They take action, and I bet that's something you also see often. Like, are you seeing actually your clients doing split testing more and more often with the inserts as well?
So just for like personally, I have an insert that gets between a 50 to 60% response rate, which is like
crazy,
insane. And that's just from a lot of.
Are you giving a free iPhone with each product?
Right? Click here for your free iPhone. Sign up now. Something else that we see a lot of clients doing before they're even launching a product. So even before they're on Amazon, or you're looking to say launch a variation or color or whatever it is. So with ProductPinion videos, so back to the qualitative, you can actually just share any URL. So for example, if you share like a Dropbox link or a shared Google Drive link, you can have photos or even a video of your prototype, your drawings, whatever it might be. And that's something that clients are actually doing quite a bit of, where they're kind of almost validating the idea, or for example, trying to validate the differentiation. So obviously on Amazon, you can't just sell another Me Too product these days. But talking to shoppers and getting the context of if their idea of a change, of a variation is actually worthwhile, is also huge. And you can do that very easily with a Pinion video.
Exactly. Yeah, something else to add to the inserts, something I've done myself that did increase conversion by a lot. So here's a shortcut, something you can split
Yeah.
test for yourself.
Nice.
I added a quick line that says valid only 7 days after the purchase.
Mm.
Obviously, you
To
cannot
the
measure it
urgency. Yeah, yeah.
exactly, but yeah, that urgency. So a lot of people started scanning that QR code when they saw that because they're like, "Oh, there's something that's going to expire. Let me jump on
Yeah.
this." And something else to add to what Matt was saying, answering your question, Senza, about things that work. Very
Mm-hmm.
often, it's very niche specific. I'll give you an example of the niche I used to be in the business I sold. It was in home decor, travel related items.
Mm-hmm.
The main product was scratch off maps, so you would scratch off where you've been, those kind of
Nice.
maps. And I quickly figured that all of my competition is made in China, mine is made in Europe, in Ukraine, and
Okay.
all of them have to comply with the Chinese regulations of what the world map can show and which
Nice.
territories belong to which country, specifically around China, like
Yeah.
whether Hong Kong is independent, whether Taiwan is independent, stuff like that, right? And when I was designing my map, I was just looking at the United Nations maps and making sure that it corresponds with that design. So after doing some asking questions on Facebook groups, I figured that people actually really appreciated that. So part of the reason I was able to charge the most in the space is I said on the second or third image, the only United Nations compliant map design.
Yeah,
And nobody
that's
else
very
can
good.
claim that, and you can only figure that out when you talk to people all the time, right? So
Yeah.
just something that you might be able to find for your niche
Small
when you
things.
ask enough people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all the small things that you combine them together and really moves the needle long term, you know?
And
Yeah.
speaking of small things, there's a very simple math. If you improve one metric, but by only 1.4% a week, in a year, you double that metric.
Wow.
Think about it. If you test one thing at a time, once a week, and you always improve it, you'll most likely double it. Let's say it's conversion, you double your conversion in a year. And imagine how
Yeah.
much more profits that brings to your business.
Yeah. And that's important that you mentioned that because I feel sometimes when people do a change and they only see 1-2% change, they get discouraged because I don't know, they expect to see a 50% increase and they don't understand the compound power
Yes.
of long term, you know?
But the
So
coolest part too, I mean, obviously there's going to be diminishing returns, but if
yeah.
you haven't tested anything or very little right now, your biggest returns are usually earlier on. So on average, figuring out a winning image will lift your conversion rate by like 6, 7, eight
Hmm.
percent on your first round. So yeah, there's diminishing returns, but over time, every little thing compounds and gets you that higher sales and conversion rate.
Nice. Now, the thing I want to also mention is the option you guys give for contextual split testing, right? So basically, this is where you can basically simulate like how the search looks in Amazon.
Yes.
And my question for this is like, what is some of the advice you give to listeners on this episode to basically exploit and take advantage of this tool? Because I guess one of the complexities, and I know you offer this as an option, that's why I want to ask you is that when you split test and let's say the image with contextual split testing, sometimes there are things that could actually affect that testing, which is like reviews, the rating, the price, and I saw that you guys give the option to remove or add that. So is there a way of actually gradually combine all those metrics to find the perfect combination, or what is your take here? Because you could have the perfect image, but as soon as you have the pricing, the price somehow damages the conversion because it's too expensive or
Yeah.
too cheap. You see what I mean? So
Very,
how you
very good
you find a
question.
balance? Yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
good question. What I generally recommend is testing one thing at a time,
Hmm.
and obviously a lot of things matter. But I normally start with the image itself, and
Hmm.
I keep the pricing. And you can, in the Amazon Search Simulation feature at ProductPinion, you
Hmm.
can change the pricing on your competition,
Hmm.
as well as on your product, as well as titles, the ranking, the number of stars, right? So you can edit all of these things. So in the beginning, when you have that search simulation and people who give feedback actually see Amazon search results like page,
Mm.
so it's designed very close to what Amazon looks like. They see all of the metrics being very similar. I wouldn't say the same. So let's say
Yeah.
857 reviews, 855 reviews. So they can't really make a decision based on those things. The
On
only decision
reviews. Yeah.
maker would be
Mm.
the image. Once you perfect your image and you see that it's winning against the best-selling competition, then I would look into other things. And the features we allow you to add to test how much it matters would be sponsored, coupons,
Mm.
um, Amazon's Choice, all of these things that you would see on Amazon. You can add them and see how much it impacts conversion as well. And then pricing, obviously, maybe even something in the title, going back to the
Mm.
example I shared before. But I'm sure Matt has some good examples on this too.
Yeah.
Yeah, essentially, I mean, at the end of the day, if you can pick out like your top, 5 competitors or 4 competitors, and if you can get a good chunk of the clicks in an Amazon search simulation, you're on the right pathway. If you if you come in like last place, obviously, or
Yeah.
second last, third last, there's things that you
Yeah.
need to rejig
Thanks.
and fix and see. The other interesting thing that we can do too with the Amazon search simulation is, say if you did want to test your main image and you're testing it against yourself, you can actually import your ASIN. So you just pop in your ASIN, we grab all the details, then you duplicate it, and then you just change the main image so that now when a shopper is picking between which main image, like all the other variables are the same, they still have the
Mm.
context that they're on Amazon. So it's not just a vacuum kind of like, hey, which
Yeah.
image do you like better?
Yeah.
Image versus image. It's very much more contextual. We still can test things in a vacuum. So, for example, if you're doing product inserts and you
Yeah.
test insert A versus B, absolutely you can do that. But now you have that extra option to be testing like as if it was live on the platform.
Very nice. Now, I know you also have something to show in terms of how the interface looks, and I invite all the listeners, of course, to that are listening to this episode, to also go back to YouTube so you can see what Matt is going to be showing us today. But yes, I'm sure, Matt, now you're going to give us a quick walkthrough about how the platform looks and what people can expect and how to navigate it. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. So,
Yeah.
when you sign up, basically, there's a couple different plans, and the idea is that you should always be testing. Doing a test at
Mm.
least once per month is what's going to give you the results for long term. So every month you'll get a certain number of credits, but keep in mind you can always add more credits anytime. So if you're doing a lot of testing on 1 month,
Mm.
some launches or whatever it might be, or if you're not doing as much, the credits will roll over as long as you have an active subscription. So there are 2 main types of tests that we already kind of touched upon. Those are Pinion polls and Pinion videos. And like we mentioned early on, Pinion videos, really simple, is basically getting that screencast recording, showing somebody a URL and getting questions answered out loud. And like I mentioned too, we have a bunch of templates, but to start one, you just go new test, start with the template. Say, for example, you're doing product development, you just hit try it. And first page is all internal. So nobody sees this but you. It's just to keep things organized. So what are you trying to learn? So every test, you were trying to keep it with the scientific method of kind of having a hypothesis and
Mm.
trying to answer a question, for example. So in this case, what are you trying to learn? Your product or category name. Some people will put their ACE in there, but it's
Yeah.
probably easier just to put the product name. You hit next. Here you put in, what do you want people to actually read before they actually start the test? So you can
Yeah.
actually
Fair.
give them a little bit more context. So we keep these very generic, but obviously you can get very specific related to your own brand. You
Yeah.
put in your URL. So again, it could be any URL at all. It doesn't matter. We have some people even using it for their Shopify sites. So for example, if
Okay.
you want feedback on how to get conversions on the Shopify site, you can do that. You can ask up to 3 questions. You don't have to ask all 3. If you
Yep.
ask just one, for example, they'll spend the majority of time or all the time on the one, and then you select how many that you want back, right? Uh,
Interesting.
Standard demographics, and there's also advanced demographics as well. You hit next, you hit submit, and that's it. You're done
All
within.
right.
Yeah, within a few minutes to maybe an hour, you'll probably get your first Pinion video, and depending on the demographics, it usually finishes usually within a few hours. Actually, you get all the videos back.
Interesting. So I guess some people might have this question, so they know how to which they could start implementing this, and is the marketplaces. So at the moment, which audiences can you test this? Is this already available worldwide, or you guys first start in the US, like so people can know them? Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So right now it is the US
Okay.
based, but yeah, we'll be getting into more markets
I love it. Okay.
as well. Yeah.
Nice. Good.
And then just as a quick example of what it'll look like, so this one just had 2 of the videos, and
Views with 4.5 stars.
here, for example, I don't think you can hear it.
The price is
Yeah, we can.
$13.99.
Okay.
The next one after that is more expensive but less positive reviews, so I would skip that one.
So basically, you can see he's going over the ones and reasons why he would skip and he would buy this one according to price, that sort of thing. You can also download the videos. You can also do the transcript. The other cool thing that we've had people do is, grab the transcript, pop it into ChatGPT, get some information.
Summary.
Yeah. And we'll have that. We have that built into some aspects of the software as well too. We'll have it built into the videos shortly as well.
Nice.
And then you can also write your notes, your key takeaways, and lessons right there too.
Very useful. Yeah, especially the part of the I didn't even know you could listen to the person. I find that super interesting because you actually see the reasoning behind why he's making a decision on Norva. Right, I only seen the mouse and trying to guess why he's moving the mouse that way.
Yeah, no, with this you get full context.
Yeah,
Good.
Another quick feature, you can easily share the results of this campaign with anyone on your team. Say you have a VA, you want them to watch this actually, you can share them a link, they can see all the videos, go through them, give you their feedback basically.
Very nice. Good. And I guess the next step from here would be that once you identify the main reason that people were selecting yours or the other, then you say, okay, it was the main image, then you move into doing more like a broad, like bigger quantity polls to then go more in depth on that thing, right?
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So Pinion polls is more quantitative. So here you can ask hundreds of people all at once. We have a few different types. So image is straightforward. Multiple images you can test against. Text as well. So if you're testing like the name of your guarantee, your brand name, that sort of thing. Stacked image is interesting as well because now you can test like galleries. So for example, if you want to upload all of your your product listing
6 images.
Right, and basically get an idea of which one's which. The one I'd love to show is the search simulation because this one is by far the most popular. So similar setup where the first page is all internal. It's just for organizational purposes. And then what you can do here is grab the ASIN. So I just found a couple products here to have it ready. Similar idea where you also give people context. And again, you can be as specific as you want. So you can tell people, hey, I'm the brand owner. I'm trying to figure out XYZ, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then here you have the option to show the star rating, the reviews, the price. You can also manually add a product. So for example, if your listing is not on Amazon yet and you can't grab the ASIN, you can just create one from scratch, which is really cool for validation. And you can see here how we grabbed the details. You can edit anything, including the star rating, the reviews, the selling price, a regular price, if there's a coupon, sponsored, Amazon's choice. We're also releasing an update now that Amazon has changed their search results where they say 100 sold in the past month or 1K sold. Yeah. We have that ready to go too. Interestingly enough, we had a design that was based on Amazon's. So Amazon split. We all know this. Amazon split test like crazy. Yeah. And we had a design ready to go based on one of their current variations. And then as soon as we were about to launch it, they actually switched to a different one. So we're just kind of waiting on seeing which one where the cookie's going to crumble, so to speak. And we'll just update it right away as soon as we have a more definite guideline for it. And then this is basically what shoppers will be able to see. So it looks like Amazon. It's not just static images. So a lot of other guys just have static images. This is like real
you can interact.
You can interact with it and that sort of thing. So yeah, you get the context and you get the results.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, is the perfect thing. The combination of the video with this, I think, is the perfect combo. Because I feel like with the video, you remove the guessing of what to test or what not to test, and with the polls, you make sure whatever you chose to test, you validate with enough data, and then you take action. So it's basically with these two approaches, it's very difficult to miss it, right? Like the things that you need to change and fix for your listing. Yeah.
Totally, totally. And then just as an example for what you get once you get results with Pinion polls, you'll start getting answers within seconds. And it usually fills again within an hour or so.
Okay.
So with this, basically, you can also, it's something else that's unique with us is that you can actually poll your own audience for free. So if you have an email list of shoppers, which you should, you can actually just send them a link.
Invitation.
And
Yeah.
on top of that, as a thank you for taking your poll, you can offer them a discount on Amazon. So now your polls can actually make you money. So you're
Wow.
involving your audience. So they're happy because they feel like they're a part of your brand. This is where the whole
Yeah.
Kickstarter kind of mentality comes
Yeah.
in. They're more
Yeah.
loyal.
Yeah.
You're getting the data and you're getting sales by offering the discount. So it's like a win-win-win
That's
right
so
there.
clever. Yeah, and you can use the traffic to then improve like your organic ranking and all those things that we already know. So
Exactly.
yeah,
Exactly. And of
it's very
course,
good.
you'll get here basically, which options were selected. You get the reasoning of why they selected what they selected. And then we have also the option with an integration with OpenAI to actually analyze. So even though there's 70 responses here, very quickly by hitting the analyze button, we can actually get the summary of why people chose what they chose. So now you can give this to your designer, you can give this to your team and be like, hey,
Hmm.
this is what we got to do because this is what people are saying.
Wow. Yeah, very clever. Yeah, congrats, guys. Very
Thank you,
good.
Vincenzo.
Yeah, that's
Nice.
it. That's it
So
basically in a
yeah, thank
nutshell.
you. Yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. I'm sure now people is getting very excited about how they can join and everything. So we can start concluding. Can you guys tell me a little bit more about how people can join? Like what is it usually? How long does it take? How people can join the services? Yeah, and I make sure to put all the information down in the description for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very easy to join. Just go to productpinion.com. You'll see all the options in there. And we all the most popular option is probably the brand option. That's for an
Nice.
individual sellers. But we get more and more agencies lately signing up with the agency
Yeah.
plan because it has better unit economics. So basically, when they
Yeah.
split test a lot, it's just cheaper for them, right? And another option that came up recently through listening to other players in the space is done for you. So some big companies just don't have capacity to hire internally for stuff like that. So they just hire us to do everything for them.
Nice.
So if you're interested, reach out as well and we can chat about it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure to add all the information in the description. And in the meantime, I want to thank you for being on the show. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure this is just the beginning. I mean, all the things you guys have done in such a short amount of time. I'm sure like what you guys have in the pipeline is gonna be very exciting, and I'm sure I'm gonna have you back for that.
Thank you,
Sounds
Vincenzo.
good.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it's
it.
been a pleasure. Thank you for being here, guys. Have a nice one. Yeah.